Hello everyone and welcome back to that one playthrough of Kerbal Space Program. I am Kyle once again, and you join me exactly where I said we would leave off. We're going to do some pre-flight checks on the second flight of the Bumblebee. Now you may notice right away that this is actually a slightly new and improved Bumblebee, which is why it is labeled as the Bumblebee 2. Now I will go through each one of those details. First and foremost, we're going to run a seismic data test on the runway here, and we're gonna transmit that. And I think we already got all the other, we got all the other scans. What I should really do is bring up science here now so that we can be told what scientific experiments we need to be doing. We're going to go ahead and get this baby off the ground to start with, and then while we're going through kind of the takeoff process, I'll explain everything that we changed in this new format of the vehicle. You'll notice I extended the fuel tank, so last time we had a fuel tank failure because of the O-scrap mod. And well, as I realized that that is a thing that is potentially going to happen, I figured why not put some redundancy on it, increase the size of the fuel tank so it'll give us more distance and range on the vehicle as well. I added a little wheel in the back here so that we can make sure that when we're taking off and landing, we don't damage our tail fin at all. And then because the contracts we're trying to complete actually have to do with the thermometer test, running a temperature test, I decided I'm going to put a second thermometer on, just for redundancy's sake as well. I'm going to try and gain some altitude here, see how high we can take this, find out what some of its capabilities are. In addition, I added some extra batteries, hopefully give us a little bit easier ability to transmit scientific data, and then I also added parachutes because we just researched survivability, and I figured, yeah, that's a good idea, because with the amount of failures that are occurring with the O-scrap mod, whoa, okay, hold on there. I thought it might be a better idea to make sure that we have some safety precautions in place, and I am turning aggressively here, but I'm headed toward this icon up in here, Kraken's Recklessness, the Dinkelson Kerbin's Construction Emporium contract. Basically, we got to fly underneath both of those indicators. There's one there and one there. Collect a temperature scan at each, and then we will complete our contract. Now everything should be running on a higher generation now of what the parts are, so there should be a little bit more reliability. I will admit, what happened was I went and I used the craft file in another save that I have. I used the exact same craft, and what I did was I just wanted to create some filmed shots of me basically flying the plane to potentially use for thumbnails and whatnot. And what I didn't realize what would happen is, and I'll click on this, is because I used the exact same plane in another save, and then I used the exact same plane again now, it's actually made everything Gen 3, even though it should only be Gen 2. So, something I've learned there with this mod, at least, is if you use a craft file... Oh, we're actually flying underneath our first thing here, so we need to grab a temperature scan. Oh, and we actually can collect this. Temperature scan from the environment. This is over Kerbin shores, so let's go ahead and make sure we do that. We're going to send that data. Let's see, can I do the pressure scan as well? Flying at Kerbin, no, okay. I can do an EVA report, which I'm not going to do while I'm flying, but that contract should be done. So I should be able to now turn to the next one. Again, aggressive turn. And I'm going to start to level off a little bit, because I'm assuming we're getting pretty close to the altitude maximum for this aircraft. Alright, so there we go, one contract done, perfect. Let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So we got the vessel complete, distance record, excellent, that's some extra cash. And then here is the first contract, temperature scan, 11,000, which is basically the cost of our plane, and as long as we bring the plane back to the KSC, we'll get that refunded anyways. I think this next contract is about the same value. Let's level off a little bit here. We're flying pretty high. Okay, we are entering Gene's Curse, which I'm assuming is what we need. Let's log the temperature. And did that complete our contract? It did. And we have a failure here on our cockpit. What's the failure? And can we repair? Beyond repair. Well, what happened? Status A-OK. Alright. I don't know. Something's happened. Oh, our cockpit suffered a reaction wheel failure. That's actually not that big a deal. Alright, but with both of these contracts completed, we're going to go ahead and make our way back to the KSC. We're obviously going to bleed off a lot of speed making an aggressive turn like this, but I'm going to assume that if we just kill our engines, we could potentially just coast this guy in all the way to the runway without much issue whatsoever. And I didn't get any notifications on science here now. I guess I could potentially land it somewhere else and get some more science data, but I'm more concerned about just completing these contracts, getting the plane back, and feeling like Valentina can live comfortably knowing that this plane is a lot safer than it was the first time we tried to take it out. We've got another Elevon failure here, actually. Let's see, this one is... control surface is stuck, okay, which means it's not going to help us, which means when I pull up now, it's not giving me any pitch control. So what I'm actually going to do is get rid of the pitch control on the Elevon on the same, on the other wing in the same position, so hopefully it equals out control surfaces so we don't end up with some weird rotations. I'm going to try and lose as much altitude as I can, because we're obviously going to have to bleed some speed as we come in here too. The other nice thing about having the parachutes on here as well as the batteries is chances are I'm going to be using those parts in rockets pretty soon as well. So if I can give them some flight time, it should give them the ability, obviously, the next time we build them, they'll be Generation 2, and if they're Generation 2, that will make them a lot safer when they go to fly. Actually, they might actually be Gen 2 because of that bug I told you, yeah, with using the craft in a different save file, which is unfortunate. I'll just know for the future that if I'm going to do any filming of cinematic shots or thumbnails, that I got to do it in this save file, potentially even while we're doing a mission, which might be fun, so that I don't cheat my way into higher generations. I don't think it's too big an issue. Clearly, this thing has still got some major failures, and it's not preventing us from enjoying the game still. And I don't like to cheat, so, you know. Alright, we are coming in still pretty fast, so I'm going to bring this low, and then we're going to flare a little bit, hoping that I can bleed off speed. We'll flare again. Drop it in. Okay, we're slowly decelerating. Let's throw the brakes on. Nice touchdown. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, maybe too hard a touchdown. What are my brakes still set to? 100%. That might have been a little too high. Anyways, safe landing. We're back home. Valentina's okay. All the parts seem to be intact. And, yeah, let's go ahead and finish this one out. So we'll recover this completely. Alright, excellent. Quite a bit of science again, which is fantabulous. Nice amount of refunds, too, because we got the plane all the way to the runway, which is excellent. Those are contract completions and our milestones. Let's just... oh, I guess we already checked the milestones. Quickly, let's go into our research R&D building. I want to make sure I start getting some of these other pieces going. A little bug I noticed with this tech tree is that this piece, early aviation, for some reason is floating way out here, even though it connects to other stuff back here. And it's preventing me from getting things like stability. So this requires, it says down here, requires early aviation. And this actually gives us, ooh, it actually gives us a rotor for a helicopter. It gives us another cockpit, a couple other control surfaces, helicopter blades, and the, our first Airstream protective shell, which is a fairing. And then that gives us the ability to do stability, which is a better probe core, external command seat, and our first RCS thruster. I don't know if I need all of that yet. Gadgets, mystery goo is more science. There's two different mystery goos here. I'm a little confused. Maybe this is like a weird, oh, this is a mystery goo inline containment unit. So I guess it just depends on which style I want. And then a better communications. This requires early aviation as well, just more wing surfaces. Basic construction is a lot of fuel tanks. Wheels, Yeah, this could be useful, and then obviously better rocketry. You know what, I actually like the idea of working towards a better probe core, because I don't think we have anything but the Staputnik, which is the one we started with here. So I'm going to go ahead and do early aviation. We'll research that. That only costs us 4. We have 26 left, which means I can actually go straight into this one. So let's go ahead and grab that so we start researching the next probe core as well. All right, then we got a ton of contracts we can look through. I want to look at parts testing first. All right, so we've got to test a decoupler at the launch site. This one should be pretty easy. Let's go ahead and take that. And this one's actually pretty easy too. It's just a suborbital flight, which basically means we just got to send something out of the atmosphere. So I'm going to take that one. All right, so I think pretty simply enough, we're going to take our probe core that we already have, and we got the Oscar D fuel tank I'm going to utilize, and I'm just going to throw a couple of these on here. Make this pretty simple so that it's easy to send it up on a suborbital flight. We're going to put a little bit of redundancy with batteries again. Let's grab 4 of those. Grab some communications. I'm going to put 2 of these on here. Again, maybe not there. Put them like here and make them a little more streamlined. Like so. We want to add some parachutes so that we can try and recover this. It'll save some cash. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to put these kind of sideways like so. I don't like how that gets in the way of our communications. So maybe we throw those on the side like that. We are going to want to throw some science on here so that we can transmit something back. Let's go ahead and put a Kerbal engineer on there. We don't need a seismic test. Let's go ahead and just put a barometer there, a thermometer here, because we should be able to do high altitude testing, which we haven't done yet, and then once we escape the atmosphere testing. And we can research, or not research, but we can unlock the basic, what's this called? It's a solar panel. That's the word I'm thinking of. And I'm gonna put like, let's put like 4 of these on here. That's probably, not the most aerodynamic thing in the world when you really think about it. And so then we want to be able to obviously see what our Delta V is like. So let's go ahead and throw this basic engine we got on. This is the Cogswell liquid fuel engine, the LVT05. So 1600, it's pretty good. Now with JNSQ mod enabled, we're going to need about, I think it's like 4,900 Delta V or somewhere around there, close to there, in order to actually get to orbit. We're not going to try and do that right now. Okay, and we need to test the, what is it, the TD12 decoupler. So I'm wondering the easiest way to do this. I'm going to unlock the radial attachment piece, and I'm literally just going to throw one on the side here. Well, maybe not there. Let's go like that. And I'm going to, well, that doesn't have anything. I'm going to attach this test decoupler onto there. This is very makeshift. We're going to do a force of like next to nothing so that it doesn't knock our rocket over. That would be bad. And then I'm going to unlock these radial decouplers. I'm going to put those on there. And then I'm going to take 2 of these Might solid rocket boosters, and we're going to throw those on the side. Now that's going to take, if I put, let's put these in the same stage. Plenty of thrust. And we're going to put this decoupler in. Actually, we need to stage it first, don't we? Then we actually have a fuel tank that is, well, actually, I don't need a fuel tank on those because they're solid rocket motors, aren't they? Really, all I need is like a small nose cone here. We'll take this, throw that on those. Oh, and then we should actually probably have some control on this because we're going to have 0 control. Let's do our basic fins. I am thinking this decoupler I threw on here is creating some issues. If I go 2 like that, and then let's duplicate and put 2 on there. So they're avoiding that decoupler. So we can get rid of that decoupler when it's on the launch pad, test that part, and then we can try and take the rest of our rocket into a suborbital trajectory. And this should be plenty to do it. And we're going to call this the Skyward 1, because it is in fact our first attempt to escape the confines of what we know as the sky. Alright, 2 contracts go ahead and complete. Let's go ahead and save this. We're going to build just 1 in hopes that we have some minor amounts of success when this goes through. Something else I noticed here while we're about to wait for the construction of the Skyward 1, we still have the Lawn Dart 1 that we've made. I'm going to go ahead and scrap this. It'll actually give us some cash back, which is excellent. And then we'll go ahead and warp, and I'll see you on the other end when we're ready to fly this bad boy. Alright, here we go. Balancing on the very precarious end of a rocket nozzle, but that's okay. We're going to go and do an atmospheric scan here first, and then transmit that. Shouldn't have to worry about battery power now that we've got some solar panels to actually help us out. And then the first things first, we're going to go ahead and do a quick test of this radial decoupler, or inline decoupler actually. It's just positioned radially at the moment. So I'll bring this up, and just to verify, activate test through the staging sequence is all we have to do. Everything is on our checklist. We're on Kerbin, we're at the launch site, so 3, 2, 1, and we've completed that contract. And I was hoping, oh, it's one of the one-way ones. I should have positioned it the other way so it actually popped off. But now we're going to have a little bit of aerodynamics issues. But that's, well, we can only hope for the best, I suppose. Does this have a... Oh no, I just realized I don't have any kind of control on this. So really, we're just going to end up going up again like we did with the last version of this. Let the Lawn Dart. Oh well, no big deal. Let's bring our main engine down a little bit, because these solid rocket boosters should give us quite a bit of power. And this is, well, this is actually ending quite badly to start with. This was not what we had intended. Yep, a little bit of frame rate drop here as we explode. Alright, well. There are some little particles that are alive here. I don't know what those are. I'm going to go ahead and call that a raging failure. We'll just go ahead and pick up all this trash real quick. Just pretend like nobody noticed. Now, we could wait until we finish the research that we're doing on a better probe core, but you know what? I feel like this is going to be a-okay still. What we can do, though, is completely get rid of the excess weight on the side here to start with. Now, we got a couple other options here. One, I could probably make these a little lower, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and go with the deluxe winglets. We're going to go 4-way, and that's a lot of fin, so what I'm going to do is just utilize tweak scale a little bit. I mean, that's probably plenty of fin, I would think. Then we'll drop them maybe a little lower. I'll cover up our engine slightly, gives us a little more support on the launch pad. This hopefully should give us everything we need to stay pointing in the upward direction. And we're going to call this the Skyward 2, because it is an improvement, hopefully. Something I didn't even notice was our main engine, the LV-TO5, actually had a failure. So I don't know if that had something to do with why we went off topic there a little bit. Okay, hopefully just like with the Lawn Dart 1, second time is a charm. Alright, there we go. We got the main engines going. Boosters are going. Everything looking like it's completely nominal, which is good. We are drifting maybe a little bit toward the KSC, but this thing should have a lot more oomph to it. I'm going to bring the main engine power down, well, not too far. I want to make sure that we're still gaining velocity, but those solid rocket motors are doing most of the work right now. I want them to completely burn out here in this first stage. We'll decouple them so we get rid of that weight, and then our main engine will do the rest of the work. See how high we can get this. It should, I'm hoping, take us and carry us all the way out of the atmosphere. So we'll take our main engine up all the way, ditch those solid rocket motors, and then as long as these fins can keep us pointed straight up. Why is this engine not making any noise? Are my sound effects not on all the way? I don't know, for some reason I can't figure out why that's not making any noise. It's nothing to do with my settings. Maybe I'll have to check my mods and just make sure that those are going. Ooh, look at that sun flare. That's pretty. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Nice pretty cloud cover. Oh, we got more science we can do. Let's do a temperature scan, transmit that, as well as an atmospheric scan. And, ooh, unfortunately, yeah, we are not going to be making it into space today. but they should be, you know, a reasonably good altitude difference for us. We got some science out of it. We're gonna need to make this rocket a little bit bigger because currently it does not have the oomph. The good news is, however, as this makes its way back down to Kerbin, we will be able to recover it because of those parachutes. And we haven't had any failures yet on anything, have we? As soon as I say that, I'm probably going to see like 10 things light up. Yeah, I guess the best thing we're getting out of this is some additional science. So we're at 26.5. We can get another module unlocked. We are picking up quite a bit of velocity coming in here, so I'm going to have to keep tabs. The parachutes still say they're okay. Actually, we're decreasing speed, which is good. So now that we're at about 10 kilometers, I'm going to go ahead and deploy these so they begin to slow us down a little bit. Ooh, those are a cool restocked image of parachutes. I like that kind of look. That's cool. I haven't seen these version of them yet with the mods that I loaded in. And that should give us a nice comfortable descent. This thing looks like it's going to land in the ocean. And we'll go ahead and just speed our way up through this thing. Parachute should deploy any second. Perfect. Good. Our vessel flips over. And we should have a nice, comfortable, gentle descent. And splash down. We did have looks like one of our fins failed, but that's okay. Just means it's only going to get better from here on out. And then we can do another temperature and atmospheric scan. Pressure scan from Kerbin's northern sea. Excellent. We'll transmit that. Actually, we can just collect these. We don't have to transmit them because we're just going to collect this rocket. Collect and record temperature data from the environment for Kerbin's northern shore. We'll go ahead and keep that, and then we'll go ahead and recover this vessel. Okay, real quick, we're going to utilize some of these points again. So we already got early aviation. We're currently researching stability. Gadgets will give us more science. That's probably the most important thing. We can obviously get better fuel tanks and then better engines, which are always fantastic to have. This looks like it's a little bit of a vacuum engine, 255 ISP in a vacuum versus the current one we have unlocked in the Cogsworth is, well, they're actually not that different, but this one's a little bit better at sea level. I'm going to go ahead and do gadgets. I really want to get the science moving along, so we'll grab some of those so we have more experiments to perform. I introduce you to the Skyward 3. It's going to look very familiar. It's just elongated for the most part. We took the same upper half of it. I doubled the size of the main engine fuel tank. We've added the 2 shrimp boosters on the side, which I unlocked through research, but I had to purchase them, obviously. So we should have even more thrust, but this has got plenty of power to get off the ground. It's got plenty of fuel to hopefully take us again into the atmosphere. Overall Delta V 2700, which is pretty close to halfway to orbit, but I'm thinking it should be able to get us a pretty good suborbital flight here. Without further ado, we're going to take this bad boy on in 3, 2, 1, and... What is wrong here? Hello? Hello? What just happened? Oh, naturally, the shrimps have failed, apparently. Did they both fail? I think they both failed. What the heck? Shrimp failure. Shrimp failure. Alright, I'll be right back, guys. Alright, second attempt at the inaugural launch of the Skyward 3, which is actually the 5th attempt now with the Skyward series of trying to actually break through the atmosphere. Holy moly. Alright, here's hoping this goes well. Come on, shrimpies, you can do it. And everything is up off the ground. Perfect. Okay, so we should be pointed up fairly well. I'm going to take my main engine down so that we're still accelerating decently, but those solid rocket boosters are doing most of the work still. So with us pointing straight up for the most part, we should have a pretty solid trajectory that's going to take us on a suborbital hop for the most part. Not a hop because we're not going to land. Well, we will land because of our parachutes. Oh, actually, I didn't think about the parachutes being strong enough to hold up this taller vessel. I hope we land in the water, actually. That would be more ideal. Actually, I can steer this. What am I doing? That's what I should be doing. I got all these fins, and I'm not doing anything with them. Just going to try and do a hard turn toward that direction. Oh, power that up. Ditch those boosters. see if we... Yeah, we're not really turning very well, so I'm just going to let it go. As long as it's... Yeah, as long as it's pointed up. We're not actually... Oh, now we go. There we go. Now we're accelerating. This is not looking good, actually. This is not a very strong rocket now that I see it in action. But it should get more efficient the higher altitude we get. Apoapsis height, still not cracking 20. The last one actually cracked, I believe, 25. I'm going to try and point it a little more vertically, see if we can get as much vertical momentum as possible. It's going to be the most important part here. We still have 1,500 meters per second of delta V, which is pretty substantial, but we are fighting gravity the whole time. As our rocket starts to continuously tilt closer to the horizon, approaching 45 degrees here, we should pick up velocity more, but it is going to be obviously more horizontal velocity than vertical. About 1,000 meters per second of delta V left. This is not looking too optimal on maximum altitude. We're going to hit 50 kilometers, which is pretty good, but unfortunately space in JNSQ is 80 kilometers versus normal KSP, which is 70. I don't know. We're about to hit 60. We don't have much delta V left. I don't think this is going to do it either. I'm learning a lot, though, from this, because it's clear to me that the JNSQ mod is going to push my understanding of this game. So 66 kilometers, that's still going to keep us well within the atmosphere. We're not going to be able to collect any science in the atmosphere here, but maybe wherever we land, we can at least snag some. What is strategy availability change? Local science 1. Oh, I don't know what that is. All right, but we do get some more milestones, which is always good for cash. More altitude record, speed record, lane distance record. Excellent. This is our highest, most successful vehicle, though. It actually looks like we might actually land in water, which is pretty good. Oh, we had a fuel tank failure. What happened? Please explain. Fuel tank has suffered a liquid fuel leak. Well, that's fine, because there's literally no more fuel in it to care about. Well, I got more distance record. That's cool. Which means we're actually gathering a little bit of money and cash on these two. So we're 80,000 total. We're going to have to take one more attempt, I think, to make this baby get into actual spacey space, which is of course the technical term. Okay, and since I've got a little bit of science here, I'm going to actually go ahead and unlock basic construction too, which has some decouplers I think might actually be really valuable to me right now. Okay, after waiting for much research to be completed and finally making some tweaks to this bad boy, including changing our probe core to the square upgraded one, as well as dividing this into two segments so there's an upper and lower stage, I figured out what the real problem was. And it's we were naming our rocket incorrectly. We now have the spaceward one, which is where we want to end up. Not in the sky, but into space. We should have a little bit more control with this probe, hopefully. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and just take this thing as hard as we can. And, well, this is really bad to start with. Currently it hasn't exploded yet, but one of our solid rocket boosters did fail. We're gonna have to wait for that to finish burning out, I guess. Can I shut it off? I don't think I can shut it off, yeah. Luckily, we're pinned into the bunker here, so anyone who is watching the launch might be having quite the scare right now, I would say. That's for sure. This is pretty terrifying. But as soon as this solid rocket motor is done blasting off, maybe we can try this one last time. Okay, I've literally changed nothing about the Spaceward 2. I just changed the name because the Spaceward 1 had such a depressing first experience. Oh gosh, please let this work. Okay, it looks successful so far. And we're just gonna give a subtle tilt toward the ocean with this guy. Not too much, but just enough to where we're gonna go like full blast, full throttle, full main engine, full rocket boosters, everything just going. We want to gain velocity as quickly as possible. See if we can get through the thick part of the atmosphere here without overthinking anything. Just let this thing go, 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 go. Okay, everything's looking good so far. Nothing's popping out to me. I should bring up, let's bring up science here now, just in case. There's nothing that we need to do at the moment, obviously. Okay, let's get rid of those things. And, uh-oh. Well, I will say something that did happen with the Skyward 2 is I clearly did not check my staging. And I think an engine just blew up for some reason, so that was interesting. The good news, however, the silver lining here, the parachutes are deployed, they're intact, and the top of our rocket will probably safely make its way down to the ground. Okay, the Skyward 3. This is the one that's gonna do it. I believe in you. And in the great words of Scott Manley, I have in fact checked my staging. Okay, starting off well. This is where we were with the last time. This time, when we stage, we're just gonna have the radial or side decouplers go. They're gonna get rid of these solid rocket boosters as planned. Then the next stage, we'll get rid of the inline decoupler here, which is gonna then launch our next stage rocket. It's got fins on it, so it should stay pointing straight forward as long as we're still in the atmosphere. I'm keeping thrust at maximum on this main engine to start with because I want to make sure we push as fast through this thick part of the atmosphere as possible. Obviously, there's, you know, sciencey things like max Q and whatnot that are going to prevent us from, you know, having full effectiveness. Insert science jargon I don't really know. Alright, we're going to get rid of these solid rocket boosters in a few seconds. They're out, get rid of them, ditch them. And this thing does not have a lot of thrust. Hopefully, as we get to the point where we lighten the vehicle... Oh, geez, this is probably... doesn't burn fuel very fast. This thing doesn't have a lot of thrust. Although we are starting to get to the point. Let's see. If we can keep it pointed up... We are... Okay, we are starting to accelerate again. That's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. And then that's gone. And then we're going to try and ditch this. And for some reason my engine overheated. And was attached to that thing still. I hate this game. Okay, here it is, the screw it. Because you know what? Screw it. I don't know why I didn't do this design from this first start here, but I took some fins, slightly rotated them so we get some spin, what is it, rotational stability, and then we got a couple stages of solid rocket boosters. That's all we're using. We're just going to point this bad boy up, and basically the thing is we cross our fingers and hope for the best. And we just want to gain as much speed as humanly possible. There we go, perfect, nice, good spin starting up. That'll keep us stabilized and pointed forward. Good, 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 good. Good start, good start, good start. This is exactly what we wanted. These first two boosters should burn out momentarily. Looking pretty good so far. Doesn't need to tilt or go toward the ocean or anything. I'm going to keep as much of this radial spin going as long as possible. About to lose these first set of boosters. And then we want to ditch them as soon as they're out so that we don't have that extra weight. Why is this not accelerating? I decreased the thrust on this slightly, but it should be fine. There it goes. Now it's picking up. Would have been fine to go from surface level, I thought. Okay, and as soon as this thing's done, we need to get to this final stage. There we go. And this thing, now that we're super light, super light, we should be able to gain some serious velocity, hopefully. And we're going to keep an eye on how much fuel we got left here compared to how much, what our height of our apoapsis is. We're at 40 kilometers. $50. Still accelerating very nicely. 60 kilometers. 70 kilometers. 80. Okay, we're going to make it into space. We did it. As much horrendously stressful effort as that was, The rest of it is just icing on the cake. We're going to have a total apoapsis height of above 120 kilometers, which is perfect. So as soon as we get into space here, which should happen momentarily, I'm going to go ahead and speed us up to get to that point. And boom, there it is. We can do a temperature scan, transmit this. We'll do a atmospheric scan, near space. Instrument reads 0 as if they were in a vacuum. What do you know? Who would have thunk it? And we have a contract completion, finally. Huzzah indeed. There is no such thing as the final frontier. And we're going to keep forging our own frontiers, that's for sure. Got a few milestones. And yeah, this bad boy has no parachutes. That was one of the sacrifices I made to make it light enough to make sure that this was going to be successful. Because, yeah, again, I don't know why I didn't use this design to begin with. I know it's a pretty foolproof method of doing an SRB style of, you know, just punch the thing into space. Don't even overthink it. I don't think I'm going to get any other levels of science here. So I'm going to go ahead and say that after that stressful, sweat-inducing adventure that I just went on for this episode, it's a good place to go ahead and call it. And I thank you for joining me as we continue our endeavors into further and further reaches beyond Kerbin. Hopefully we can get into orbit in the next couple of episodes if this has not proven to be too difficult as it, you know, kind of showing to be. But I'm having a lot of fun so far, and I hope you keep joining me. I am Kyle, this is That One playthrough of Kerbal Space Program, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day.